y'all, Laura here with Cox Homestead, and today I wanted to do a video all about when you should be breeding your rabbits. At the time that I am recording this video, we are approaching fall, and that for me is prime time to start planning your breeding for this season. And I say prime time because usually my best, healthiest, most successful litters are in the fall and in the spring. Here we breed from mid-August through April. Usually it's in the month of August, we have about a week or two where temperatures drop 85 degrees or below for 3 days. I am looking for that 85 degrees or below for 3 days for my sperm count to go up in my bucks. I want to have successful litters, and so I want my litters to be most abundant that they can, given the line of work that I do here with my rabbits. And so I wait for there to be a drop in temperature for at least 3 days, 85 degrees or below, before I ever breed my first rabbit here approaching fall. So the reason why I'm doing this several times is because I feel like oftentimes people think, oh, it's not that hot today, like I can breed them. And yes, you can. And yes, you may have success. But from my experience, I have found that having at least 3 days in a row, 85 degrees or lower, allows that sperm count to get where you are going to have your biggest, best, healthiest litters, and your bucks are going to be in their best condition to produce. Those hot temperatures are really hard on rabbits, so essentially wearing a winter coat, their sperm count can go tank, nothing, they can go essentially sterile in the heat. And so you also want it to be starting to approach those cooler days for your does. You really don't want your does kindling when it's hot. We did that this summer by accident. We had a cage break. Rabbits got through to the buck. They did their shebangy, and we had rabbits in July. First time ever. Do not recommend it. Everyone survived. We had a 100% success rate. It was great. But every time we went out to check on these rabbits, this is what the mama looks like. I'm going to share a picture here. The mama was out on her back, like not a normal rabbit stance, on the verge of heat stroke. Multiple times we thought she was dead. She was not. She survived. But it is so hard on those precious little mamas to nurse their babies, get the calories they need to get in that heat. Rabbits naturally slow down how much they eat in the heat, just simply because it's so hard on them their body to be working and creating more heat and energy, and they don't need a lot of energy in the summer. They're laying around a lot, just trying to cope and survive, and so having to take in enough nutrients to then also feed her offspring is really hard on that mama. So we give our mamas a break in the summer. That being said, our rabbits are outside in all temperatures. We do not have a climate controlled barn or shelter for our rabbits. They are in our barn, and in fact this year we didn't even have fans in there. I am trying to get to the point where my rabbits are so hardy they can handle just living in the shade with a little bit of natural airflow. And so far this summer, we have had success doing that, and it has been a huge relief from worrying about fans catching fire, from buying expensive fans, although it would have been nice for my rabbits, and I hope to eventually maybe get to do that in the future. This summer, we did it without. I may get criticized for that, not for sure, but that is something that I am working up here at my rabbitry. I want the hardiest rabbits I can find in my area to withstand our temperatures here in the South. So we do not breed them in the summer. We want them to hang out, take a break, survive this heat. We need that break because, let's be real, we have to schedule breaks in our schedule doing this lifestyle, or we'll get burnt out too. I know there are people that breed year round, and that is excellent and more power to you. But even my husband and I have both said this summer of like, oh, it's so nice that the chore load, or as some people say, the responsibility load is so light. And so we take that rest too with our rabbits. And so when August starts approaching, I'm watching the forecast like crazy, watching the temperatures and what we're going to be facing, looking for that window where we have had a break in heat. All right. Also, I want my does to be at least 4 months old. So you have a 3-day low temp once they are 4 months old. Ideally, you want your doe to start breeding very young. That is what these rabbits are created to do, especially if you are doing meat production, high production. You want to crank out your most bang for your buck. This is the route you go. Now, if you are looking to do a different practice, I may not be the one to teach you at the right channel. You can start later. This is just what I teach here and what I have found to be the best practices for a high producing rabbitry that's looking mainly for the meat. Obviously we sell some for pets, and you can do this with pet breeding too, but oftentimes pet breeders have even higher standards as far as they leave their kits with the moms anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, whereas we wean all of ours at 6 weeks. And so it doesn't have to be at 6, but that's our regimen. Once we start the breeding cycle, that is when we're weaning. So I like my does to be 4 months old. That's when you're going to get their body conditioned and used to having babies, and you're meeting their needs, because by the time these rabbits reach 4 months old, at least the size of rabbits that we're raising, which is your medium to large size rabbits, their instinct is telling them to make babies. And I have found that if you don't start breeding them by that 4 month age mark, that they can get a little grumpy. Not all rabbits, but they'll start having false litters, which is essentially like they'll make a nest like they're pregnant. They will get a little grumpy when you go in to pet them, or they'll get a little humpy, I guess we'll say. You know, they'll start showing signs that they're ready and that this is what they were created to do. So it's up to you to decide, you know, if you're wanting to breed, if you're ready to start doing it. And if you are, start them at 4 months old. Now your bucks, most bucks can start also at 4 months old. I tell people that if you are needing 100% guarantee litter, it's better to wait till closer to 5 to 6 months on those bucks. That being said, I typically encourage people, if you're able to get your bucks a little bit older than your does, and so they're both starting out at the same time, and you don't have to find an older buck when your doe is ready, that type of thing. This is a loose system. There is freedom within it. You don't have to do it right at the 4 month mark. That is just my suggestion. And if you're ideally set up, that's when I would ideally do it. If you're not, wait till they're both 5 or 6 months old, give it a go. And sometimes it lines up with the temperatures. Like, you can't really start when that doe is 4 months old, and that's okay too. But ideally you want to get her started at least by 6 months for the best success rate of kindling and things like that. If you're waiting till a year and then you start having false litters, then you're going to give her 3 strikes, and then at that point she's just a pet, and you've missed out on time when you could have been producing rabbits for your family. Again, that is my take on it. How you choose to do it is totally up to you. All right, so we have weight 3 days below 85, and your does being at least 4 months old, your bucks being at least 5 months old. And let's see if there's another number I should come up with. 6. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me think. Hold on. Well, I don't have a 6 besides that we wean them at 6 weeks old. But what I did want to say is, when do I rebreed my rabbit? I rebreed my rabbits when the kids are 4 weeks old, so that I will then wean those rabbits when they are 6 weeks old, and that mom will have 2 weeks before she is kindling again. So that can be our number 6. So we have number 6 being, you wean your new kits at 6 weeks old. You have rebred that mom at 4 weeks. Sometimes she won't take, and that's okay. You can try again in a few days. You can try again at week 5. You got to find what works for you. But I do most of mine when I am actively breeding the most that I can. I rebreed the mom when the kits are 4 weeks old. They're mostly eating and drinking on their own by then anyways, and so she's ready. She's ready to do it. In the wild, rabbits do it again sometimes the day they've had their babies, if not in the middle of having their babies. So your does are more than likely ready. You can also check their genitals to see what's going on. Something that we do before we breed, we as in me, because I do the breeding. Don't you love when there's 2 of me? something that I do when I'm breeding is that I get my does out, and before I put them in the buck, I check their condition, I check their ears, I trim their nails, I look at their teeth, their belly, give them a good look over, and I look at their genitals to kind of see if anything's going on. If all checks out good, then I go and I put that doe in with the buck. I usually have checked all my bucks before I do this too. So I'm checking both my rabbits. So we've been all summer, they've not bred. I've kind of let them hang out. August hits, that's when I start trimming all my buck's nails, checking them for health. And then when I get my does out to take them to the buck's cage, then I check them as well. So it's important to make sure that you are checking up on the health of your rabbits. Don't be afraid of them. So many people message me and said that they're afraid of their rabbits. Get you a good long sleeve jean shirt, get a thick one. Go to the thrift store, get a thick jean shirt, button it. Get sleeves if you need to, gloves if you need to. I find it hard to actually do the handling of the rabbits with gloves, so I don't use gloves. But that jean shirt will be a lifesaver for your arms and your chest if you do any scratching. You go in that cage, you are the boss of that rabbit. You are telling that rabbit it is time to do a different job than sit in your cage. You get that rabbit, you take her out, and you take her to the buck. Do not put the buck in her cage. You're going to take her to the buck, and then she's going to do her thing, and you're going to watch for 3 fall-offs. Once you have those 3 fall-offs, then you can take her out and put her in the cage. Some people at this point mark their calendar, done, good to go. That's what I did this fall. But in the past, I have also taken my does back 12 hours later, or even the next morning, put them in there again, just to make sure we had a successful breeding. That is totally up to you. It only takes one time, but if you are new to this and you want to know that your bucks are proven and that you're secure in getting a litter, you can do the twice a day just to make sure that they are bred. I'm going to interrupt this awesome video to share that I did not do the breedings twice a day this fall with 4 of my litters, and I had 2 litters with no babies, not even a false pregnancy, and I have 1 litter with 8, which I was pleased with, and I have 1 litter with 3. Y'all, it's not just for the newbies. Make sure you're breeding your does twice, 8 to 12 hours apart. And I think that is the reason that I did not have great success rate this fall. First time I haven't done it. Always trying different things, always here learning and here sharing it with you. So you are going to go in there confidently, get that rabbit, take her to the buck, take her out. Do not be afraid of your rabbits. If you have a rabbit that's unruly, get rid of it. Start over with another one. I have some that are a little unruly, but I can handle them. If I don't sell their offspring without the disclaimer of like, these guys are not the friendliest rabbits. They are from Polyface. They were not handled. They did not come to me, to my rabbitry, as handled rabbits. They came as high producing rabbits. And that's what they're doing. They are very reliable, large litters, large grow out sizes. They're doing their job. But if you are afraid to handle your rabbits, then maybe that's not what you should be. That's not the line you should have. Maybe you should have something that's a little gentler. And my dear friend actually messaged me this week and told me, she's like, should I breed today? And I'm like, well, it's not really been cool enough. We've not had 3 days in a row. And she's like, oh good, I need any excuse not to handle the rabbit. I'm scared of it. And I want to be like, don't be scared. You're the boss. Get in there, do this. You have a job to do, and it's important that you breed this rabbit when it needs to be bred and not be afraid of them. So I hope that gives you a little insight on when we breed our rabbits. We stop in April because I don't really want my mamas nursing in the heat of the summer. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I usually don't breed any past April because I don't really want litters too far into May. May start getting hot here, start getting humid, and I'm ready for that break, and my rabbits are too. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I hope that you learned something. If you did learn something that you hadn't thought of before, let me know that too, so that I know that I'm giving you some essential content that is helping you out on your rabbitry. Until next time, eat more rabbit! If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please go ahead and do that. My content may not come out as fast as some other creators, but when it does come, it's good. We are approaching fall here at the time of this recording. We are rolling into fall here. We are approaching fall here in East Tennessee and some other parts of the United States. That's stupid.